We meet again. It's 4:36 a.m. Yeah, it's just I got a Christmas present, and I'm not the world's biggest Bob Dylan fan. I am from late '64 to late '66, 2 years worth. Before or after, I'm not interested. Before a little bit, but this is a very, very good. What you'd call a anthology of critiques of all his albums. I think in here. I think they're all in here. Some really, really good writers, edited by Sean Egan. Um, the fullest ever anthology of writing about rock's greatest poet. Give me a break. There was the one thing in here that really was a very, very good critique. The written poetry on the written page. Poetry was never meant to be written down. Poetry is almost as old as um, music, in that neither were written down. They were just passed from generation to generation and altered as they went along to suit the times. And that's what Dylan was about. He was carrying on that tradition in that he hasn't written a tune or a melody in his life. Well, he has, but most of his early folk stuff, they're just old. Everyone knows this, but I'll reiterate it. Most of those early Bob Dylan famous songs like "Blowing in the Wind" and "A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall," etc. Um, they're just old English or Scottish hymns and folk songs and all American country music. All comes from the Scottish tradition, really, and English. Um, so I'm not putting him down for stealing melodies, but because, like I said in my last video, there is only one song in a way. It's how you twist the notes and all that stuff that makes it its own special creature. And like, for instance, the Rainy Day Women numbers 12 and 35, and it's called that from this book. I always wondered, why is it called Rainy Day Women numbers 12 and 35? It's just that they were recording, and a couple of I don't know, girls that were coming into the building for whatever reason came in and they were sopping wet from being in a rainstorm, and that's it. So there's no great meaning there. Well, what does Rainy Day Women 12 and 35 mean? Doesn't mean a fucking thing. And he just saw him and he said, "Oh, that'll do. That's the title." That's the way to do it. That's how you do things on the spur of the moment. It's within the moment. So yeah, poetry. It's like I love John Cooper Clarke, a wonderful guy from near Manchester way up there, Salford, and terrific live performer. Real uh, charisma. He took his whole look from the classic Bob period. That look, 65. Bob Dylan was the coolest guy on the planet. 65, 66, hands down, absolutely. I know I'm an old bloke, and but that's all. After that, he's a complete clown and a joke, and he continues to be a clown and a joke. It's a freaking freak show now. Him and Rod Stewart's voices. Jesus Christ! I don't know why people pay to see these assholes, or buy their fucking records. Christ. Anyway, yeah, poetry. So with John Cooper Clarke and Bob Dylan, when you hear them sing it or recite it or even rap it, or whatever you want to call it, it works. lyrics, because you're not looking at the word and going, oh, that word shouldn't have been there, and that doesn't really work. Why didn't he use that? No, you're in the moment. You're going with the flow, with the music, with the song, whatever. And, you don't sit there going, oh, that's a bum note, or that word is not really as, it could have been better. You don't. You just go with it. It's like, I don't really know or care what like a Rolling Stone or Positively 4th Street, my favourite Bob Dylan song. I don't really care what it's about, or whether it's made up, or whether it's based on reality, or I don't give a shit. Those two songs really spoke to my 15, 16-year-old self without even knowing why they were doing it, but they just did. And they still do. Every time I hear them, I'm thrown right back there. I don't know what, maybe it's because Bob Dylan was born on the 24th of May, the same day as my, you know, the female of my life, one of many, but the one that I still have dreams about. I can never, she's always in the distance in my dreams, and we're always young in the dreams. And we almost, I almost get together, and then it falls, it drifts away. It's weird, and I get that sort of vibe off Bob, yeah, she was born on the same day. So I'm getting off track here again. This is all off the top of my head, of course, as usual. Yeah. So he appropriated the melodies, but that's nothing new. Everyone's been doing it forever and a day, except the actual originators, and no one knows who they were. They never will. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So Rainy Day Women numbers 12 and 35 turns into They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. And that turns into Yellow Submarine. Three terrible, ghastly songs from 1966. And it's just the same song. It's just different lyrics, and it's Tubby the Tuber. So talking about Tubby the Tuber, tub and pub. Now Australia has had a long association and history with country music, hillbilly music in particular, in the 30s and 40s. Now it's David Kirkpatrick, or as he is known, Slim Dusty. This is Farmers. This is a wonderful old retail store, which is long gone from Sydney. It's so good to see that familiar writing again. This cost $1.55, this EP. Sorry, hang on. $1.55. So these are a mid-60s reissue EPs, and they're in brilliant condition. I don't know where I got them. The Pubs with No Beer, Slim Dusty. Both on Columbia. Yes, talking about appropriating. Better hurry up. Now, A Pub with No Beer is the first ever Australian record to make #1 in England. It was a huge hit in Australia and a huge hit in the UK. There's nothing more lonesome, morbid, or drear than to go to a pub without beer or something. That was his only really big hit. See, then he was reduced to doing things like The Answer to A Pub with No Beer. I even had an EP of his which was called My Pal Alcohol, and it even had what's it called? Pub with No Beer Rock or something. It's actually quite good. He actually got a late 50s rockabilly band in the late 50s to do a rockabilly version of A Pub with No Beer, and it was bloody good. And I wish I'd kept that EP. It was really good. Anyway, David Kirkpatrick. So he became Slim Dusty, Australia's most beloved and well-known country singer. Now, it was got to number one, and I always wondered why. And then I always thought that it's got such a beautiful melody. There's nothing more lonesome, morbid or drear, da 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 da, when a pub with no beer. It's actually beautiful dreamer, dream me away, whatever the lyrics. Yeah, it's beautiful dreamer. He stole the melody of beautiful dreamer and changed the lyrics to a pub with no beer and got a number one out of it. It's okay. No one cares. So that's appropriation. And Tex Morton, a Kiwi rockabilly and country singer, a yodeler. I've got a 2 CD compilation of his yodels. I used to play it in the darkroom and drive Bob, one of our photographers. Whenever he'd come in, I'd put it on, and he was a Bob Dylan fan. I used to say, how can you stand listening to all that Bob Dylan shit? And then I put on Tex Morton, and that would send him running out of the darkroom. He couldn't stand it. I fucking love yodel when it's done well. And this guy, he's a Kiwi from New Zealand, but he spent all his life in Australia and the US. He was over he toured the US back in the 50s or 40s, and he's very, very good. Tex Morton. He tried to crack on to my mother. She said he drove past in his car, a sports car back in the 1930s, and with Tex Morton written on the side, and he tried to pull my mum. She told him to piss off, but just as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here telling you this fucking boring story. Um, so, so Tex, I had all his stuff on the Rodeo label. It's on 78s, and damn it, I was so desperate when I had a gambling problem. I sold them all. But this is a beautiful, beautiful mid-60s reissue. It's mint. Uh, so on the back there, you see he's just covering which were US songs. The letter edged in black, the yellow rose of Texas. She came rolling down the mountain. These are just like Pete's, classic hillbilly, and he does it really well. But he's got one in here called Beautiful Queensland, which is my favourite track of his. And he's got this really old-fashioned Australian accent, like beautiful, beautiful Queensland. It's that real drawled out, and it's wow, it's like a drill through. You think I'm bad? It's like a drill through your ears. No wonder Bob went packing from the dark room when I put it on. But what that is complete steal of beautiful Texas. See, there's some hillbilly song he heard. Beautiful, beautiful Texas, and it just became beautiful, beautiful Queensland. So appropriation, there's nothing there. And I love all three of these artists at their peak. I love them all. Shut the fuck up, fucking bloody cat. Anyway, it's time to go now. Bye.